My beloved child, there is a very holy beauty in the moment you decide to trust me without demanding to see a clear sign before your eyes. When you no longer set conditions that I must prove my presence in the way you desire. When you no longer need a door to open immediately, a thunderous voice to speak, or a strange event to happen before your heart can be at peace. It is in that very moment that the faith within you begins to mature. You are speaking to me with all your heart, saying, "My word is enough. My love is enough. My faithfulness is enough to uphold you through every path that is not yet clear." This is not weak resignation, but a beautiful steadfastness, a silent response that echoes powerfully in the spiritual realm. Father, even though I do not yet see, I still believe that you are here. My child, I know you have longed for concrete proof so your heart could be reassured. I know there have been nights when you looked up at the silent sky and wondered whether I was listening, whether I was guiding you, whether I cared about every small detail of your life. I do not blame you for those questions. I understand your weariness. I understand your worries. And I understand even the trembling within your heart as you have to keep walking without yet seeing the whole road. But I want to teach you something deeper. My presence is not limited by what your eyes can see. And my faithfulness does not become less simply because your outward circumstances have not yet changed. There are times when I am silent, not because I am far away, but because I am inviting you into a deeper level of trust, where you no longer live by fleeting signs, but are upheld by my enduring promise. When you choose to stand upon my word, you are placing your feet upon a rock that cannot be shaken by the winds of life. Emotions may change, circumstances may shift, people may come and go, and the things you once thought were certain may become fragile in a single moment. But my word does not fade with time, does not weaken before adversity, and does not lose its power because you do not yet understand everything. My word is a quiet lamp in the long night, a stream of water in the dry land, a gentle warmth when your heart grows cold from waiting. You may not yet hear the footsteps of what you are hoping for, but my word is still working. You may not yet see the result, but my word is still planting seeds. You may not yet recognize the movement, but my hand is still arranging all things with a wisdom you cannot yet measure. Remember that true faith is not only believing when the miracle has already happened, but also believing while everything is still in process. It is easier to trust me when you have already received what you prayed for, but to trust me when you see nothing but waiting. That is where your love for me is refined. When you say that you trust me even when you do not understand, you are not lowering your reason. You are placing your limited wisdom beneath the light of the one who knows every path completely. You are not denying fear, but you are refusing to let fear rule. You are not pretending that everything is easy, but you are declaring that I am greater than the things that make you anxious. And that very choice is making you stronger day by day. I want you to remember Thomas, the one who once needed to touch the wounds before his heart could be convinced. He loved his teacher. He had followed him through days full of hope. But when tragedy came, his heart was covered by sorrow and doubt. He wanted proof that his hands could touch, his eyes could verify, and his mind could grasp. And when the risen one drew near, he did not reject him harshly, nor did he shame him for having doubted. He came with gentleness, showing him that the love of heaven still reaches even those whose faith is trembling. But after that moment, a deeper invitation was opened. There is a special blessing for those who have not seen and yet still believe. Do you see? My child, I do not despise your need to be strengthened, but I am teaching you to enter into a greater steadfastness, where you do not need to touch the evidence in order to know that I am real. And you do not need to see the outcome in order to believe that I am working. My beloved child, There are signs I give because of mercy, but I do not want you to depend on signs so much that you forget the one who gives them. If you are only at peace when something extraordinary happens, then your peace will rise and fall with circumstances. But if you learn to rest in my word, that peace will have deep roots and will not be easily swept away by bad news, by delays, by what others say, or by doors that have not yet opened. I want you to have a trust that is not fragile, a peace that does not need permission from circumstances, a light that does not go out simply because the night is still long. What I am building in you is not temporary excitement, but a lasting foundation for a life that knows how to depend on me in every season. And when you say to me that you do not understand everything but still believe, your whole inner being is brought into a new order. The noise of anxiety begins to grow quieter. Questions no longer become chains. Unanswered things no longer steal your rest. You begin to realize that you do not have to control every detail in order to be safe, because I am the one holding what you cannot hold. You do not need to see the entire picture in order to keep walking, because I am the one who has seen the end from the very moment you were still standing at the beginning. You do not need to force time to serve your impatience, because I know which season is for sowing, which season is for growing, and which season is for harvest. Perhaps today you are still standing in the middle of unclear things. Perhaps what you have prayed for has not yet arrived. The person you hoped would change still has not changed. The door you hoped for remains closed, or the path ahead has not yet fully appeared. But do not think that this waiting makes my word weak. No, my child, my word is still lifting you little by little. Every day you choose faith instead of giving up. Every time you choose prayer instead of panic. Every moment you choose rest instead of trying to manage everything in despair. You are being trained in maturity. I do not waste a single day when you have believed through tears. And I do not forget a single time you chose to remain in the light even while your heart was still trembling. So let my word become the place you lean on when everything outside is not yet clear enough. Let my love become the deepest answer to the questions that have not yet been explained. Let my power become your assurance, not because you always feel strong, but because I am never weak. You do not need to prove your faith by appearing unshaken on the outside. You only need to keep placing your hand in mine. I will lead you through each step, each day, each season. When you cannot yet see, I still see. When you do not yet know, I still know. When you cannot yet name what is happening, I am still weaving all things according to my kindness and my wisdom. Then the day will come when you look back and understand that the seasons without clear signs were the very places where your faith was deepened. You will see that I was not absent in the silent spaces. I was there, quietly building, quietly protecting, quietly teaching you to love me not only for what I do, but because I am your Father. And when that day comes, you will not only give thanks because the miracle has happened, but also because you learned how to believe before the miracle took form. Be at peace, my beloved child. My word is enough to light your path today, enough to carry you through the long night, enough to keep you steady amid uncertainty, and enough to bring you into the good portion I have prepared with love that never changes. My beloved child, let me continue the holy work within you, even when my loving hand touches the parts that make you feel pain, regret, or as though you are losing something very familiar. But my child, not everything familiar belongs to you, and not every shell that once protected you is still necessary for the journey ahead. There are things you have carried because you were once wounded, reactions you have kept because you once had to defend yourself, thoughts you believed were part of your nature, but were actually traces of seasons in which you had not yet been healed. I have not come to make you empty. I have come to make you whole. I do not strip things away to make you poor. I strip them away so that the true beauty I placed within you may be revealed purer, gentler, stronger, and no longer covered by things that do not come from my light. So when you feel the old layers falling away, do not be afraid. That is not a sign that you are breaking apart, but a sign that you are being rebuilt, like a patient potter placing the clay back on the wheel. I am also reshaping you with tireless kindness. I am not hurried, not harsh, and I do not abandon my work halfway. I know which part of you needs to be softened, which part needs to be strengthened, and which part needs to be washed clean of old memories that once made you look at life through eyes of fear. Have the courage to remain in this process. Do not run from my hands, simply because you do not fully understand what I am doing. When the wind rises, remember that I am not merely standing by watching you struggle. I am the one who keeps you standing in the midst of things that seem able to sweep you away. There are times when I invite you to close your eyes, not so you can avoid reality, but so you can stop depending on outward things that are making you confused. When you close your anxious gaze toward your circumstances, you will begin to hear my voice more clearly in the secret place. And when you open your heart, even one sincere word of surrender is enough to open a miraculous movement. You do not need to speak to me with beautiful words. You only need to come like a tired child returning to the arms of your father, telling me that you no longer want to control everything by yourself. It is in that surrender that the old layers of who you were will fall away like a worn-out garment after a long season of rain and wind, and I will clothe you with a newness unstained by fear, no longer controlled by wounds, and no longer bowed down under the false definitions of the past. From that place, you will begin to recognize another grace being opened within you. The way you see everything will change. In the past, you often looked at life through unhealed wounds. An ordinary sentence could make you think you were being rejected. A brief silence could become evidence in your mind that you were not loved. A careless glance from someone could be enough to make you shrink back, wondering what you had done wrong, whether you were being looked down on, whether you were about to be abandoned. You have lived too long, like someone who had to wear armor, even in places where you should have been able to rest. You thought that vigilance was wisdom, but in truth it only made you weary and made it difficult for you to recognize what was true and what was only an echo of things that once hurt you. But today, I am touching the inner eyes of your heart. I am wiping away the dust of suspicion, removing the veil of fear, and healing the places that once caused you to interpret everything in ways that wounded you even more. You will no longer look at yourself through the eyes of those who once failed to understand you. You will no longer look at others through the shadow of those who once hurt you. You will also no longer look at me as a distant God who only comes near when you are good enough, strong enough, or worthy enough. I want you to see me as I truly am, a kind, patient, Holy Father who corrects with love and always leads you out of confusion and into the light. Remember the story of Elisha's servant in the city of Dothan. When the enemy army surrounded the city, the servant saw only horses, chariots, and soldiers before his eyes, and his heart became terrified. But the prophet did not look at the situation through the fear of the circumstances. He prayed that the servant's eyes would be opened, and when his sight was touched, the servant saw that around them was a protection far greater than what threatened them. Do you see, my child? The outward circumstances did not change immediately in that moment, but the way of seeing changed, and that change brought courage. I am doing the same thing within you. There are battles that do not need to begin with me changing everything around you. First, I change the way you see, so that you no longer tremble before things that are smaller than my power. When your inner sight is renewed, you will begin to distinguish more clearly between temporary emotions and true guidance. You will no longer quickly conclude that you are hated just because someone is silent. You will no longer see a word of correction as an attack on your worth. You will no longer allow small disruptions to pull your entire day into darkness. Instead, you will learn to pause, breathe in peace, bring everything before me, and then look again with wisdom from heaven. I do not want you to become cold or hardened. I want you to become discerning while still tender, strong while still humble, able to love without losing awareness, able to forgive without placing yourself back in a place that harms you. My beloved child, this transformation will not only affect the way you see the world, but also the way you walk through life. When you are no longer led by fear, your words will become less hurried. When you no longer live in defense, your heart will more easily receive peace. When you no longer doubt my love, you will not need to cling to human approval in order to know that you have value. And when you see everything through the light I give, you will realize that some things you once called failure were actually redirection. Some silences you thought meant you had been forgotten were actually places where I was healing you. And some closed doors were actually my gentle protection. Therefore, let me continue this work within you. Do not hold on to shells simply because they have been with you for so long. Do not grieve over old reactions just because they once helped you survive difficult seasons. I am bringing you far beyond survival. I am leading you into freedom. I am forming a new person within you, not someone foreign to who you are, but the version of you set free from the things that once covered the beauty I had already placed inside. You will step out not with noisy pride, but with the gentle light of someone who has been touched by me. Your presence will become a living testimony that I am still making things new, still healing, still opening eyes, still leading, and still able to turn places that once held pain into a source of light for many others. Rest assured, my child, I do not require you to understand the whole process before you can rest. I only invite you to trust that the hand reshaping you is the hand of your Father, not the hand of a destroyer. Keep walking with a tender heart. Let my light enter even the places you once hid. Allow me to replace the old lens with a new vision, so that you may see yourself with mercy, see others with wisdom, and see your circumstances with faith. Then you will realize that the world is no longer as frightening as it was when you looked through your wounds, and you are no longer as small as the old words once made you believe. I am with you, alive in every step, and what I am building within you will shine at the right time. Like the dawn that does not need to hurry, yet surely spreads its light over all the earth. My beloved child, there are seasons in your life when it seems as though every door is silent, every prayer is hanging in empty space, and every sign ahead is so faint that you wonder whether you have been forgotten. But my child, silence does not always mean absence, and delay does not always mean denial. There are things I do not open right away, not because I do not love you, but because I am protecting you from entering a place where the foundation within you is not yet strong enough to sustain it. I am not only concerned with the door you want to walk through, I am concerned with the person you will become when you stand inside that door. For a blessing that arrives before your heart is prepared can become a burden, and an opportunity that arrives before its time can make you more weary than joyful. My child, when you are in a season of waiting, do not be quick to think that everything is standing still. Often, in the very days when there is no outward movement, I am doing my deepest, hidden work within you. I am adjusting the foundations that ordinary eyes cannot see. I am removing cracked stones, distorted beliefs, fears that have quietly become habits, and desires that seem legitimate but are still mixed with impatience. You see only the wall that has not yet been built, but I see the ground that needs to be strengthened. You see only the door that has not yet opened. But I see that your feet need to be made strong, so that when you step in, you will not collapse under the weight of the very thing you once prayed for. At times I slow you down not to waste your time, but to save you from a haste that could carry you far away from peace. You often want me to build quickly, give early, and open widely. But I am the Creator who does not work in haste. When I build something within you, I do not build the way the world builds, a temporary shelter just to get through the rain. I build with endurance. I place every brick in its proper position. I level the uneven places. I strengthen the hidden corners. I do not only want you to enter a new season with a smile on your lips, I want you to stand firm in that season with maturity, wisdom, and purity. So do not despise the days that seem small. They may be the holy workshop where I am quietly creating strength within you. Remember the story of Nehemiah, who returned to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem in a time of ruin. Before his eyes was not a glorious city, but broken walls, burned gates, mocking voices, opponents, and a task that seemed too great for human strength. But he did not give up simply because the beginning was not beautiful. He did not build with temporary emotion, nor did he raise the wall according to the pressure of the crowd. He prayed, observed, divided the work, stationed guards, and each broken section was gradually restored. Do you see? Before the city could become strong, someone had to dare to face the ruins. Before the gates could be rebuilt, hands had to be willing to touch the ashes. I am doing the same with you. I am not ashamed of the parts of you that were once weak. I am using those very places to build a new steadfastness. So do not be afraid when I correct you. Do not see my adjustment as punishment. A loving Father will not let you continue walking a path that will wound you simply because you are used to it. When I touch a habit, a relationship, a plan, a way of thinking, or a dream of yours, it is not always because that thing is evil. Sometimes it is simply because it does not truly belong to the good portion I have prepared for you. There are things that appear bright, but their light does not lead you closer to me. There are opportunities that sound reasonable, but within them, they pull you into exhaustion. There are invitations that look like blessings, but if you step into them, you will have to trade away the peace I have been cultivating in you for so long. When you were still immature, I taught you to distinguish between wrong and right, between what brings you down and what draws you closer to holiness. But as you grow in my guidance, the lesson becomes more refined. I do not only teach you to avoid darkness, I teach you to recognize what is true among many things that appear good. For not every open door is an invitation from me. Not every smooth path is a blessed path. Not every convenience is a sign that you should move forward. Sometimes what is true comes quietly, without display, without haste, without requiring you to lose yourself in order to keep it. What comes from me may challenge you, but it will not lead you away from purity. What I give may require you to mature, but it will not force you to live in chaos in order to prove that it is worth it. My beloved child, I want you to learn to listen through deep peace, not only through emotions that flare up in a moment. There are things that excite you but do not nourish you. There are promises that intoxicate you but have no foundation. There are choices that make you feel seen, yet quietly lead you out of the place where I am protecting you. Therefore, in this season, I am not only preparing a blessing for you, I am preparing discernment within you. I am teaching you to pause before saying yes, to pray before running after something, to look at the fruit and not only the outward appearance. Maturity is not measured by how many opportunities you have, but by whether you know which opportunities must be refused in order to preserve the portion I have placed before you. If today you feel delayed, Let your heart become still in my hands. Do not measure my love by the speed of the answer. Do not measure my faithfulness by whether everything happens according to the timeline you desired. I see farther than you do. I know what will lift you up and what will scatter your heart. I know which door opens to bring you into life, and which door only opens to test whether you are still easily drawn by appearances. I do not want you to chase every glittering thing and then become exhausted along the way. I want you to walk slowly but surely, with less noise but full of power, with less display but full of light. Then the day will come when the work I am doing in you will be revealed. At that time, you will understand why I kept you in a season longer than you expected. You will give thanks because I did not give too early what you did not yet have the strength to hold. You will recognize that every time I corrected the path, changed the direction, closed a door, slowed things down, or placed you in silence, it was an act of love. And when you step through the new door, you will not enter as a trembling person searching for approval, but as one who has been trained in silence, built up in patience, made bright through testing, and prepared by my own hand. Understand that obedience today is not a small action in a passing moment. In my eyes, every time you choose what is right instead of what is comfortable, every time you turn away from a path that is no longer pure, every time you release something that once made you dependent, all of heaven recognizes that courage. There are chains that cannot be seen with the eyes, but they wrap around your mind through fear, through regret, through whispers that make you think you cannot live without that thing. But I am sending help to you. I am untying each knot in your heart. I am cracking the walls of deception that made you confuse darkness with shelter, clinging with love, and familiarity with destiny. When my light touches you, you will clearly see what you once did not dare to look at. Some doors close not to punish you, but to save you from a room where the air is slowly running out. I know you fear the feeling of having to walk alone. I know you fear silent evenings, the emptiness after letting go, and facing yourself when there is nothing left to cling to. But my child, being alone in the light is still better than being surrounded in dimness. A quiet season under my guidance is far more precious than many crowded years in which your heart is worn down. Do not fear the emptiness after you give up what does not belong to you. In that very place that seems empty, I will plant new seeds. In the room where you think only tears remain, I will place healing. On the road where you think you are losing something, I will open a way your eyes have never seen before and your heart has never dared to hope for. Do you remember the story of Abraham, the one who was called to leave his familiar land? He was not given a complete map in advance, nor did he see the whole promised land from the first step. He heard the call, and then he walked by faith. Behind him were his homeland, his relatives, his old way of life, and the familiar things that had once given him a sense of safety. Before him was the unknown, a long journey, and days of pitching tents in a strange land. But because he dared to leave, the promise had ground in which to take root. If he had clung to the old place simply because he feared loneliness, he would not have entered the blessing prepared for him. The same is true for you. Sometimes I do not show you the entire road right away, because I want you to learn to hold my hand more than you hold the certainty of this life. I am not asking you to let go so that you will fall into an abyss. I am asking you to let go so that your hands will be empty enough to receive what I am about to give. So do not see today's tears as a sign of failure. Some tears are water that washes your eyes so you can see more clearly. Some separations are deliverance disguised as pain. Some things you lose today are the very things that were preventing you from receiving tomorrow. I do not promise that you will not hurt when you choose what is right. I do not say that you will immediately feel light when you release something that has been attached to you for a long time. But I promise that pain placed in my hands will not be wasted. I can use a crack to let light enter. I can use a lonely season to rebuild strength within you. I can use a loss that seems bitter to begin a new chapter soaked in grace. One day, you will look back on this very moment with different eyes. Then you will no longer ask why I allowed you to let go. But you will understand why I did not allow you to keep sinking deeper. You will see that what you once cried over losing was actually something I removed from your hands because I loved you. You will realize that the peace you now have is worth far more than the days when you had to strain yourself to hold on to something no longer within my goodwill. And in that season of blessing, when your heart no longer trembles as it does today, you will whisper to me with quiet gratitude that everything you went through was not in vain. You will understand that courage does not mean feeling no pain, but choosing the light even while your heart still trembles. Therefore, today I invite you to stand up, not by your own strength, but by trusting in me. Let go of what is pulling you away from purity. Leave the place that causes you to lose the peaceful voice within. Stop negotiating with the things that have wounded you many times. You do not need to prove that you are strong by endlessly carrying a burden I did not give you. True strength sometimes lies in one quiet decision to turn away without resentment, to lay it down without cursing, to move forward without looking back in regret. I will not let you go alone. When you take one step in obedience, I will go before you to prepare the way, walk beside you to sustain you, and come behind you to protect you from the things that want to pull you back. My beloved child, let today become a sacred milestone in your journey. Do not wait until all your emotions are calm before choosing what is right, because there are doors that only open when you decide to believe before you see. Give me your fear of loneliness, your regret, your unanswered questions, and even the broken pieces you are holding in your heart. I have not come to take away your joy. I have come to save you from the temporary joy that is slowly draining you. I am not calling you to leave so that you will lose everything. I am calling you to leave so you can return to the good portion I have prepared. Trust me one more time. Choose the light one more time. And when you do not have enough strength to walk far, simply place your small hand in mine. For I will lead you through the long night until the dawn of freedom rises over your life.